Isolating Ashima. Ashima glared at Elandor like he was the murderer of her parents. She knew with the present situation becoming 3v1 against her, she will be pushed further away from David. David, since the majority already agrees, let's not waste more time and register our group. I can't wait to start a new adventure, exclaimed Elandor. David looked at the sulking Ashima and finally broke the silence. I am sorry Ashima, but you know I have always been unfair and taken into account the majority's view. I see no valid reason why should I be on your side and refuse Elandor. Elandor already knew that his hero personality was already boosted by his remarks and he was just waiting to enjoy the satisfaction of helping someone and making him grateful for his kindness. Ashima only looked down with a pitiable expression and was whispering very slowly, why is this happening? Why is David not trusting me? Our bond should be much stronger, how can he not take into account my opinion? Elandor being close clearly heard these barely audible whispers and a big smile evoked on his face. Now he knew he had the advantage of the first strike against enemy lines, so how could he be willing to slow down the offensive? After successfully registering under the name The Rising Stars, David was blooming with a satisfied smile as this was one of his much-awaited objectives. Ashima thought it was the perfect chance to regain his favor and said, David, let's go, we can't waste more time, we need to gain a lot of experience to level up to silver-ranked adventurers, we just started so it gonna take a while to reach from bronze to platinum and higher ranks, let's go, she shouted. She ran to hold David's hand and drag him but Elandor came in between and blocked her. He gave his signature smile while facing her. She felt like he was a big devil who came from the depths of hell, giving her a smile of ridicule. Her little mind went full alert mode. Elandor ignored her and turned his face backwards facing others and spoke, David, we just started and as Ashima spoke we aim to reach platinum or high rank, so we must be long-sighted in our approach. I think we must first rent a place to keep our supplies and logistics, then we must get sufficient ration for our adventures and then come back to examine various quests to find the one most suitable for us, instead of blindly accepting one. We can't be short-sighted and just run off as soon as we register, Lady Ashima. Seeing the scene, even Jasmine was quick to join in. After all, they were now in an unannounced alliance. Yes Ashima, thankfully we admitted Elandor, else you would have dragged us without any thinking. I think you want us to starve on our journey and do useless quests, Eve jabbed at her. Yeah, fake sister. Now, I'm pretty sure that it's you who is always responsible for causing disharmony in our group, it's your short-sighted approach which made our group suffer various losses in the past, added Jasmine. Thanks, Lady Eve and Lady Jasmine for sharing my opinion, but everything, in the end, is the decision of our leader. You guys took me in as you lacked good support, and how can I be a good support if I can't read and analyze the situations and give the most unbiased opinions? You know, in big battles even a slight mistake can cause an entire party's downfall. Oh, you do not need to keep calling us by lady, we are now one group, so please just call us by our names, spoke Eve. How can a mere commoner call us by our name, shouted frustrated Ashima. Jasmine also chimed in, yes, we must rely on you. Ashima uses her crying and pitiable expressions to trick David into causing mistakes, you must step up to prevent her from continuing her mistakes. Then the so-called unannounced alliance of Eve, Jasmine and Elandor looked at David expectantly. Hearing their arguments, even David felt that Ashima was a careless and short-sighted person and said, of course, we must follow your advice Elandor, you are a good support, keep giving useful advices to us in future. Seeing the smiles on the three, Ashima stomped her feet as she knew it was another defeat for her. Soon they started searching for a house to rent and found a cheap one, then they bought some ration and low-level equipment followed by furniture, then started renovating their house. Each of them chose the room they liked. In the evening David assembled all in the living room and said, let's go and choose a quest, we must level up fast. And soon they returned to the Adventure Guild. There they saw the bulletin board with various quests. As a bronze-ranked group, it was mandatory to do 2 E-level quests. So they quickly found those. There were 5 tasks out of which they needed to choose 2. One was to help arrest bandits in the countryside, the second was to help farmers with their grain production, third was to catch a wild one-horned rabbit. The fourth was to help a nearby village fight against spider monsters, and the fifth was to help guard the same village by making a defensive wall. Soon they realized a big issue: all quests' location were very far from each other except for the 4th and 5th quest, and it could even be said to be an interrelated task. Elandor clearly noticed the shaking of Ashima when they read spider-related quests. He thought to himself, is this girl afraid of spiders? Wow. Found another weakness of hers. Without wasting any time he got in his role. David, only 4th and 5th spider-related tasks are suitable for us, the rest of the places are too far and will take longer for us to complete them. No, soon Ashima burst out. We can't take these quests, you know how much scared I am of these spiders since childhood, David. We must take other quests, so what if we take a longer time to complete them? Eve and Jasmine once again gave each other their knowing smile. Ashima, are you out of your mind? Other quests will take us at least 2 months to complete, the distance is too far. Yeah, isn't it just spider monsters? What's the big deal, plus I have heard they are one of the weakest monsters, we can complete these quests quickly, chimed in both Eve and Jasmine respectively. This time even David felt that Ashima was too selfish and put her interests before the group. Isn't it just low-level spiders? If you are afraid of a low-level monster, how can you even be qualified of standing against high-level monsters when completing high-level quests? You disappoint me, Ashima, spoke David with his hero-like personality. This time Ashima felt too wronged, she had never been on the bad side of David in the past and all this was because of Elandor. She could only stomp her feet angrily and once again seeing the smile on this 3v1 group which was against her, she was filled with endless resentment. 20 comments 0 votes send gifts. E-ranked quests. After successfully taking spider monster quests despite Ashima's protest, the group returned to their new house. After taking a rest, all woke early in the morning. They collected all necessities and headed to the village for the quest. It was a 2-day journey to the village. Ashima was so scared of being attacked on the way that she insisted to take a carriage to reach the village faster but was once again ruthlessly refused by all. Come on, it's our first chance to camp out at night and you wanna ruin this special experience by using a carriage? Spoke David in a firm tone. Ashima felt her head drooping down, she knew there was nothing she can do but face her spider's fear head-on. Elandor knew the girl was gonna delusion her mind again to motivate herself to get over her fear and think to be reborn just like a phoenix, but he had already thought about countermeasures and just smiled to himself. Soon the group started their journey on foot and by nightfall, having completed half of their journey, they found a suitable place to camp. This time David gathered all near the campfire and spoke in his most serious tone. I have decided the team settings, I will be on the front line along with Eve, and Ashima will provide support with her fire magic. Jasmine gonna attack with arrows with her bow, while Elandor will fill in the role we lack according to the situation along with providing support magic buffs. It was at this point that Elandor remembered an important detail that he was not able to remember earlier due to the heavy load of information transfer because of transmigration. It was like a piece of mind which was blurry suddenly became enlightened. People in this world can use magic as long they had the required mana for spells. Weak mages use chance to use mana for spells while high-level mages can do chantless magic spells. Mana was the energy produced by cells in our body to use various magical abilities and luckily everyone was born with mana. There was nothing much to know, other than that people could only practice specific elemental or support magic depending on their physiques. The body of Elandor from his memory was famous for supporting magic and providing buffs to various warriors and other party members in school. David only had a weak talent for fire magic so he focused on sword and spear skills. Eve was the same and only had weak water magic so she too practiced in the way of shields. As a result, she carried a cute white shield tugged on her back while Jasmine was good in weak wind magic which allowed her to sense changes in wind and shoot arrows accurately. Only Ashima had medium-level fire magic which allowed her to do area damage with large fireballs. Based on all this information their roles in the party were decided. Elandor had already thought of his plan and after a careful sneaky action took out a small packet from his trousers pocket, containing a drug and mixed it with Ashima's dinner. He had secretly spent all evening yesterday shopping for this drug. Elandor once again remembered drug details. A non-life-threatening medicine, once ingested causes mana circulation in the body to slow down for 2 days, but it takes an entire day for it to enter the bloodstream and only on the second day it can show its effect. After that, its effect automatically wears off. After eating dinner, they slept without any worry. In the morning they again woke up early and under David's command used their teamwork to hunt small animals. Everyone was satisfied with their group's synergy. They arrived in the village by afternoon due to their fast pace and excitedness and greeted the village chief. After verifying the quest documents, the village chief was surprised to find that the group wanted to complete both tasks. The group had already thought that instead of killing nearby spider monsters they gonna directly wipe out the monster's lair which will completely rid the village of the problem, thereby also fulfilling the objective of the second quest as there will be no longer need to build a wall to guard against spider monsters. Elandor knew that if they gonna clear the surroundings then Ashima only needed to use weak magic not requiring much mana, but in the lair she gonna have to do big spells needing much mana and at that time she's gonna flop. The downfall of bluish-haired beauty was almost done and Elandor was the most excited. David briefed the village chief about their plan, and the chief was happy to know that the problem can be removed from the root and hurriedly promised 100 gold coins as a further reward, else the group may change their mind. Without wasting any time, David brought the group along with their weapons and equipment along with light body armors they were wearing to the monster lair. The base of monsters was inside the cave in front of them. All they needed to do was kill the Queen Mother Spider, who was responsible for reproducing the spider monster army. She was just an immovable E-tier monster and can be easily killed by them after their repeated team practice in the morning and afternoon. Everyone had a confident smile while entering the cave. Only Elandor knew a disaster was waiting to happen. He calculated that it was time the drug was in peak effect in Ashima's body. They could see small spider monsters along the way, which they easily slaughtered while reaching the depths of the cave. There was not much use for Ashima, as she only needed to do 1 or 2 low-level fire spells occasionally. She was brimming happily with joy, thinking she had already overcome her spider phobia. They entered the depths and arrived near Mother Spider Queen. Soon many small to medium-sized spiders started coming out from various cracks and crevices on the cave's wall and the ground around them. They were surrounded on all sides. It was the same as the situation they discussed during after-practice meetings. Soon, they arranged themselves in a formation with David and Eve with their spear and shield standing in front. Jasmine stood behind while readying her bow. Elandor had already used support magic to buff each party member to max potential and took out a small slender sword in case of emergency. The plan was simple: they gonna kill as much they can and then drive all the remaining spider monsters to the queen, and after weakening all of them and driving them to a corner, use Ashima's and David's combined fire spells to burn them in one go. The plan was flawless and soon they went into action. After half an hour they killed at least 200 spider monsters and only 70 to 90 were left along with the queen. Almost all party member was tired after a hard fight. Only Ashima was without sweat, as according to plan she can't be allowed to waste her mana before the final attack. After a while, they managed to drive all the remaining monsters along with the queen to a corner. This time almost all were sweating and panting heavily. David and Eve's light armor already had small cracks after repeated spider attacks. The number of monsters was really too much to kill in one go, but after hard fights, they still managed to execute their plan perfectly. Unknown to them, the quest had already reached the level of E-class difficulty. Ashima along with David started chanting fire spells. Even Jasmine started cheering, thinking the quest is almost done, and only Elandor had an evil grin. Finally, the disaster waiting to happen finally happened. No matter how much Ashima chanted, she wasn't able to use her mana to execute her spells. Unknown to her, the drug had already stopped her mana circulation. And everyone's expression turned grim and ugly. 9